Let me ask y'all a question. How many of y'all have never been to Waffle House? Perfect. Y'all are amazing. I know at least y'all have been to Waffle House at least once. Waffle House is probably not my favorite restaurant, but right now I'm really enjoying myself some Waffle House. And I've been going every week, at least once a week. And if it's a good week, it's a couple times a week. Or if it's a great week, it'll be 3 times a week. I'm really enjoying Waffle House right now. And a big reason why I'm enjoying it is because I have been going for weeks now. At least once a week since the summer, since July, I've been going to Waffle House. And I love it. I built relationships there, and I go every single week, and I get the same exact thing. I sit in the same exact place. And I get the same exact service. It's by a lady named, her name is Miss K. And yeah, thank you for whoever clapped in the back. Miss K is an amazing lady. She knows me so well. We have this playful banter. I say, "What's up, Miss K?" when I walk in the door, and she turns around, gets a pot of coffee, which is really sweet tea, and pours me a glass of sweet tea and sets it on my table before I even sit down. That's the relationship me and Miss K are having. And I've loved Waffle House so much over the past couple weeks is because it's been consistent. Every single week, it's a part of my routine. I budget every week to go to Waffle House. But the last couple weeks has been a little different. About 3 weeks ago, Miss K wasn't there. And so me and my friends look around each other, we're like, "Oh, she's just sick. Like, she's just taking the night off. She probably was busy. Like, she had something to do." And then 2 weeks ago, the second week it happened, she wasn't there. And now I'm kind of getting worried. Me and Miss K have built this relationship, and I'm kind of getting worried. I'm like, "Oh, she definitely got fired. That's for sure what she did." She's like, she wasn't great at her job, but she was the sweetest old lady, so I enjoyed her company. But she was terrible at her job. So I was like, for sure, she got fired. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And then the third week happened. Last week was the third week. And I'm like, I go real dark. I get real dark. And I say, "Oh, she died. She's dead." There's no way that she is not living because she hasn't been to Waffle House to serve me. She hasn't been my waitress for the past 3 weeks. Something has to be wrong. She has to be spending some time with Jesus. Don't worry. Miss K is perfectly fine. I saw her Monday morning when I went to a breakfast meeting. She's okay. She's not dead. But when my Waffle House experience has been skewed, has been different because it hasn't been consistent anymore. There's no consistency. I go with the same people. I sit in the same spot. I get the same thing to eat. But Miss K's not there. Time and time again, we are drawn as humans to consistency. And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. As we look at social media, this series is focused on our social platforms and how we connect our social platforms with our everyday life. We have an amazing opportunity to use our social platforms as an extension of who we are. And that opportunity is to use social media to share Christ with the people around us. Like I said, I value my time at Waffle House. I go multiple times a week because it's a consistent part of my life. It's my routine. A lot of y'all probably don't go to Waffle House as much as I do, but I bet y'all have a routine every time you wake up for school. Y'all do the same exact thing over and over again. Or maybe you're weird and you don't do the same thing over and over again. Maybe you do something crazy every day. You just all scrambled around every morning. But I know for a fact, every single one of you, when that lunch bell rings for school, you meet your group of friends by somebody's locker, and you walk into the lunchroom together. And usually, for girls, it's like a V shape. Like the head girl is in the front, and then it kind of veers out. And then there's ninth grade boys that just want the attention of the girls, so they have fans blowing. The doors open automatically, never open automatically besides this group of girls, right? They open automatically. A dove is flying inside the lunchroom. Like, it's a movie picture, right? Every single day. You go to lunch with the same group of people, but this day's a little different. The new kid is sitting at your table, and not just your table, but your seat. Isn't that, no one sit at my seat. I've worked hard for this seat. I spent years getting this seat. This seat is my routine. This seat is a consistent part of my life. So you do whatever every person does, and you kick the new kid out of your seat, I bet. That's probably what I would have done when I was there in high school. But we all value this thing called consistency. Even if you don't believe it, each and every one of us values authenticity and consistency. And the reason why I believe that everyone in here believes it, even if you don't believe that you value and honor consistency and authenticity, I believe it because I know that we're all made in the image of God. That God in the flesh, his name was Jesus, and we're called to live like him. And Jesus were exactly these two things. Jesus was authentic and Jesus was consistent. So as we look at week 2 of Social Faith, I believe that we really need to take a harder look at those two words, being authentic and being consistent. So let's take a look at Jesus' life. If you're familiar with John 4, the story of John 4, it's the story of the Samaritan woman. And Jesus is this Jewish guy, and then he has an encounter with a Samaritan woman. And Jews and Samaritans hated each other. They had a bitter rivalry. They wouldn't even look at each other. They took it a step further, and Jews wouldn't even walk through the region of Samaria. They would walk around because they didn't even want to have encounters. They didn't even want to look at the Samaritans. But Jesus said, no, we're not wasting a day walking around this region. We're going to walk through it. And he meets a woman at a well. And not that they were just Jews and a Samaritan, but in this time it was a man and a woman. And in this time, men definitely didn't talk to women, and women definitely didn't address men. And so he's not just breaking ethnic rules now, he's breaking the ties between man and woman in this culture. But he doesn't waver from who he is. Jesus shows this woman in this story love, grace, and forgiveness. Let's look at Matthew 9. Matthew, it's another story of Jesus. And Jesus is sitting with tax collectors and sinners. And the righteous, the religious walk into the scene and come into the room. And they're like, why is our Messiah, why is the guy that we're following sitting with this scum? Why is he sitting with these sinners and tax collectors? I thought he was going to be the one to save us, but why is he sitting and having dinner with these people? And Jesus turned and looked at the righteous and the religious and said, isn't it the sick that need a doctor? Isn't it the sick that need a doctor? And so in this story, Jesus shows love, grace, and forgiveness. Let's look at John 8. There's a woman that commits a sin, and the punishment for this sin, her only punishment is death. So the town surrounds this woman with rocks, and they're going to throw rocks at this woman to kill her. But Jesus comes in the circle and he says, hey, stop. If you never sinned, then you can throw a stone. And the townspeople looked around each other and they realized that everyone has at least sinned once. They've all sinned. They sin every day. So they all dropped their stones and walked away. And then Jesus turned to the woman and showed her love, grace, and forgiveness in that moment. And these are just a few of the stories of Jesus' life. Every single time Jesus met somebody, encountered the righteous, healed somebody, every single time, every day of Jesus' life, he was the same person. Jesus was authentic and Jesus was consistent. He showed every single person that he came in contact with love, grace, and forgiveness. And I believe that the author of Hebrews sums this idea up perfectly. So in Hebrews 13, he writes, Jesus Christ is the same yesterday and today and forever. Jesus is authentic. Jesus was consistent. So what does this mean for us tonight? Why are we telling you that this guy, Jesus, is authentic and consistent? Why does this matter? How does this affect our social life? And guys, this should mean everything to us. This is the reason that we do it. This is the reason why we claim ourselves as Christians, because Christ died for us on the cross so that we can live for him. And Jesus, he calls us to be Christ, image bearers of him. We're supposed to look like Jesus and do what Jesus does, right? So if Jesus is authentic and Jesus is consistent, don't we need to be? Don't we need to be authentic and consistent as well in every single part of our life? I just want to take a second and really consider, look around the room at your friends, the people you go to school with, the people you hang out with the most, the people closest to you. Why do you call your friends friends? Why are they the people that you put closest to you? It's because we believe, to us, that those people are honest. We believe that those people care about us. We believe that they will call us out when we need to be called out, and they will be there for us when we need them to be there for us. Those people that are closest to us, we believe that they're consistent in our life. As humans, we value being consistent and being authentic. We value these things. Let's take a little deeper look. So if you're taking notes tonight, our first idea is we value authenticity. We value authenticity. And I don't know about you, but I've really gotten into this show called Big Brother. And if you've ever heard of Big Brother, it's a lot like Survivor, but Survivor's, they're on an island, they're okay. But Big Brother's the show, and I'm a huge fan of it. So if you're not familiar with either shows, it's basically a reality TV show where the cameras are always on them. And 16 to 20 people get either in Big Brother, they get put in a house, and in Survivor, they get put on an island. But 16 people were in a house this season. And I'm a huge fan of Big Brother. So I don't just watch the episodes and then go on my way. I listen to podcasts and I listen to interviews on YouTube. And I try to strategize myself like I'm in the game, like I'm a player, like I'm a house guest of Big Brother. And so it just wrapped up. The season had just ended. It was the second time in history that a unanimous vote for the winner. It was crazy. He played an amazing game. But the crazy thing about it, I was watching these post-game interviews, after the season interviews, and one of the guys, his name was Kevin. And Kevin was an outsider in the show this season. He didn't really have an alliance. He was kind of bouncing around from different people to different people. But one of his close relationships was with a lady named Davon. And Kevin and Davon had built this friendship, and they were close. And then after the show, he was interviewed, and he asked about his relationship with Davon, and he said, I won't be friends with her outside of this house. Because he realized that Davon was a different person on the cameras as she was off. But then he got asked about another player. His name was Tyler. And that player, he didn't really have a good relationship with. Like they weren't close at all. But he said about Tyler that he was the same person on the cameras as he was off. Kevin was going to be friends with Tyler now because Tyler showed who he truly was at all times of his life. Don't we all value realness and authenticity? We want our friends to be real, right? Is it just me? Am I the only one that wants a friend to be real, to when I call them at 3 a.m, they'll be there? Am I the only one? I hope not. I hope that we all are looking for friends that are authentic and real. Friends that will push us to Jesus when we need to be pushed towards Jesus. this thing about being authentic, if we're not authentic, if we're not real, we're gonna have to fix that. If we're not the same person that we are at church on Sunday, that we are at school on Monday, and on Snapchat on Tuesday, then we're not authentic. And we got to change that. We got to fix that. We all long and desire these genuine friendships. So here at TBF Students, if we want to be welcomers, if we're gonna take that and strive to be welcomers, then we're gonna have to be genuine. We're gonna have to be authentic. Because I promise you guys, if you're not authentic, then everyone's gonna see right through you and know that you're fake. And no one's gonna wanna come, and no one's gonna allow you to be a welcomer to them if they know that you're just being fake. So let's look at the crowds that follow Jesus. And I think the crowds follow Jesus for one major reason. And that reason was because the stories they heard about Jesus was the exact same as when they met Jesus. He was the exact same person as when people had said stories about him and told them about him. He was the exact same person as he was in real life. He was authentic. He was genuine. And yes, of course, Jesus didn't have to worry about Snapchat or the Instagram comments. He didn't have to be in that. He didn't have to deal with the internet and all these different platforms. We get that. But news still traveled faster than Jesus could travel. People were still hearing about Jesus before Jesus got to that city. So if we start here in Lebanon, if Jesus was in Lebanon, and then people were already hearing about him in Nashville before he even got to Nashville. So what people were saying about him had to match up with who he really was. And guys, his character never wavered. What people were saying about him was never different than who he actually was. So I know that social media is hard. I understand, guys, I'm on social media. I know that once you add a platform, it's so hard, and you add another platform, and you add a third platform. You have all these platforms, but you're also trying to be true to yourself and who you are. I understand that what we're asking of you tonight is going to be challenging. It's going to be hard, but we got to strive towards it. We have to, because Jesus was authentic, and we're called to look like him, and we're called to be authentic as well. So the second idea we need to consider is Jesus wasn't only authentic and genuine. He did just show compassion and grace once or twice. He showed compassion and grace every single time. I know that I value friendships more the longer I have them, because our second idea tonight is we value consistency. We live in a generation where there's Finstas. Yes, I know what a Finsta is. We live in a generation where on Instagram you can post a story only to your close friends. Or on Snapchat you can have private stories. But guys, I'm gonna just be honest with you, if you have that, you're not real. You're living totally different lives, because on your main platform, on your main Instagram, where your mom and your dad and your small group leader and Nolan and I and Hannah and I, we follow you, and your small group leaders follow you. So we see this cookie cutter, what you want to show us Instagram, but then over here you have a secondary account where only a few friends follow it, that only a few friends see who you really are, because I promise you that this is who you really are. You're just putting on a show in your real account. You just put on a show in your real account. And guys, we're going to have to fix that. Because if our non-believer friends see that we have two accounts and they follow both of them, they're going to see that your life is inconsistent. They're going to see that your life doesn't match up from on Monday that it does on Tuesday, or on Wednesday night and Saturday night. They're going to understand, and they're going to see, oh, Nick's life's not consistent. Oh, but in his bio, he says that he's a Christian. In his bio, he says, in his real bio, he says that has John 3:16 on it. So he must be a Christian. So now you're not just saying Nick's not real. Nick has 2 separate accounts or 3 separate accounts. But now you're saying that Jesus isn't real because you've labeled Jesus as a person you follow. And you're saying that Jesus is inconsistent because you have 2 accounts and your friends that don't believe in Christ view you as a Christ follower. And so you're showing them that Jesus is inconsistent. Jesus isn't real. Jesus is fake. And do we want to show people that? Is that our plan, is to show that the God that we follow isn't real, isn't consistent, isn't fake? Because guys, if I look at my life, the only consistent thing in my life was Jesus. The only thing that has been consistent in my life has been Jesus. So if we're going to say that we're a Christ follower but have 2 separate accounts, man, that's showing that Jesus has 2 separate sides of him. And that's not what the Bible says. So why are we telling people that are non-believers that? Guys, for right now, I'm just going to put religion aside. And we're going to leave religion in a box over here. Put a bow on it. That's a Christmas present for later. And I'm going to get real with you. Let's put church aside. Let's put religion aside for right now. You all are in high school. And graduate, I promise you, even your 9th grade guys in the back and your 9th grade girls right here, I promise you, college is coming. That graduation day is coming. And if we look at every college application, and I filled out a ton, okay? I filled out a lot. My mom was like, you need to fill out as much as possible because you probably only get into one, so you got to fill out, you got to boost your chances, okay? So I filled out a ton of college applications. And I promise you, I'm not going to lie to you right now. Every single application asks for my social media handle. Every single one of them. And I promise you they look at them because I have a friend that works in admissions at a university, and he said yes. He's even gone a step further and has given a scholarship to a guy over another one that had the same ACT scores, the same test scores, did the same exact extracurricular activities. He gave one guy a scholarship because he was the same person in person that he was online. And the other guy wasn't. The other guy had a Finsta. The other guy had secondary and third accounts. So money's involved now, guys. Scholarships means a ton. And I promise you that colleges look at your social media accounts. And let's just go a step further and say, oh, college isn't your thing. I'm just going to go straight into the workforce. Every job application I've even filled out, even Whataburger, has asked for my social media handles. They're looking at your social media accounts, I promise you. I've only been in this position for a little bit, but I got to welcome in our interns this summer. And I promise you, we looked at their social media accounts before we hired them. We wanted to make sure that who they were in person was the same as who they were online. Guys, it matters. Yes, it matters in the church, but it also matters in life. We have to be the same person online as we are in school, as we are at home. We have to be the same person everywhere. So guys, I'm just going to say for the next week, let's strive to be authentic and consistent. Let's hope and pray that our lives match up with online as they are offline. So I'm going to end with this. If I were to close my eyes and pick one of you out and plug your phone in the tech booth and put your social media on the screen for all of us to see, all of us to look at, all of us to make our comments on and to judge. I'm not even going to say life matching in real life and online. I'm not going to say that right now. I'm going to say who would be okay with their bio, what their bio is right now in their post? Whose social media platforms where their bio and their posts line up? When I just said, if I were to call on you for real and to pick your account, would you be okay with it, or would you freak out internally and run out of the room? Guys, if it was me, I don't know if I would be okay with it. I would be kind of embarrassed. Guys, if we can't even and be in a safe place right here and have our social media with the people that we go to church with on the screen, then why is our lives so out of order? Why does our bio not match with our post? Why does our post not match with who we are in real life? Guys, we got to fix that. We got to fix that.